Well, thank you everybody for joining us today for the Teaching and Technology Workshop Series. My name is Mike Trong, and I have Deborah Manili here with me. And today we'll be talking about the ECM Crops Assignment Tool. And before we get started, I have a couple of housekeeping items I want to cover. First is that the audio is set to mute. So if you want to communicate with us, please use the chat window located on the bottom left of the screen. If you have any questions, you can enter it there and then put it onto the chat and we can see it. In addition to the chat window, you can also use the icon of the person raising a hand on the very top, where you can let us know if we're speaking too softly or if we need to slow down or other things. And then the other thing is that there's an ability to turn on the full screen on any one part of the presentation. So if you find that it's hard to see something while it's being shared, just go and click on the full screen on your panel, on your module, and you should be able to see that particular part of the pod full screen. And then finally, the session is being recorded, so you can view it later, and you can access it through the CRT website. So without further ado, here is Deborah.
Thanks, Mike. Welcome, everyone. And first, what we'll go ahead and do is I will give a brief overview of the assignment tool, which is the tool that we're featuring today. So the assignment tool allows instructors to create, distribute, collect, and grade assignments. Assignments are private and student submissions are not visible to other users of the site. Instructors may grade assignments directly in the assignment tool or download them for grading offline. So that's some of the features. And then on the next screen is an overview of a typical assignment workflow. And so how that works with setting up an assignment, the instructor creates a new assignment. Students are access the assignment, work on it, and submit when finished. And then the instructor provides feedback and grade an assignment and then return it to the student. And then the students view the grade and the feedback, and then optionally students revise the assignment and resubmit it if you have that set up as one of the options when we create the assignments that we'll see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and move to the actual crops tool. And the agenda on the left-hand side is how we're going to go through the demos, and it aligns with the typical assignment workflow. So I'll go ahead and go to the tool. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so everyone should be able to see the actual crops tool. And so just as a reminder, I wanted to quickly go over the three main categories in the course site. And so the first one is communications, and it has these different features, tools here. And then course tools has these different tools, and we're actually going to be working on the assignments. And then site management has these tools available to make use of, to utilize to make adjustments and so on to your actual course site. And then down at the bottom there's a help link, and so whatever you can use a search menu, and if you had assignments and you wanted to look at that, then you could go ahead and click that in there, and it would provide a Word search box, and it would be able to give you information on how to do that. So there's resources available to utilize within the crops tool. So well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set up an assignment. That's on the first agenda. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Course Tools on the left-hand side of the screen and click on Assignments. And so here is the first view of it. And so you can see there's some assignments that are already completed and or set up. And so what we're going to do is up on this menu bar, these are some of the options that are available for creating assignments and the different features. So we're going to go ahead and click on Add to create our assignment, and you would just go ahead and name the title. So I'll just call it Assignment Number 5. And the red asterisks indicate these are required, that we need to have them completed. And so the open date What that does is it allows when you want the students to see the assignment available to them. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the date that it's here. And then the due date, of course, is exactly the due date in which you expect the students to have their assignments submitted. And then an accept until date. Now, this could be used as if you're going to allow them a due date, and then you're saying that they have the option of submitting it late. Maybe there's some grades that are going to be deducted if they turn it in late beyond the due date. So I'm going to go ahead and give them that option. So I'm going to just put maybe the 18th. I'll go ahead and leave the same time, and then we have options to complete for student submissions. And so if we pull down this pull-down menu, the default says inline and attachments, but you have your choice if you just want them to submit their assignment inline, which I'll show you in a second, or just attachments, or if you actually just want them to have these other two options that are listed. But we're going to go ahead and leave the default as inline and attachments. And then here is where the box you can check for if you're going to allow resubmissions. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that there's one resubmission, but the options are, if you pull down the menu, is from 1 to 10 or unlimited, but I'll go ahead and leave it as 1. And I'm going to go ahead and make it the same date as our accept until date. So I changed that. And then as far as the grading scale, there's also a pull-down menu, and then these are the choices that you could utilize. Now, we want to use the feature of download for grading offline and transferring to Gradebook. So in order to use that feature, which is we're going to demo shortly, you need to be using the grade scale that uses points. So I'm selecting that, and for this assignment, I'll just make it maximum 50 points. So that takes care of all the required items that needed for this assignment. And then here, this is considered the inline submission area. So this is the dialog box. So what you would just say, hello students, these are the instructions for your assignment. So that would be considered the inline area. And so then we have some other features that you could utilize, and this one here would be add due date to a schedule. So that what that would do is that when we have the due date of February 5th, I believe is what we use, it will show up on the calendar, and you could take a look at that later. And then add an announcement on the due open date. So if we check that, what will happen is that in the announcement section, again under communications category, then it will have an announcement that the assignment is now open. And then it has add an honor pledge. We can check that, and what that is, it just says that the students are submitting their own works. Then a couple of other features are grading. And the default is do not add assignment to Gradebook, but we want to be able to use this feature, so we're going to change it to add assignment to Gradebook. And then access, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as the default display to the site. But there's an alternative option if that works better for you. And then submission notification email options. Again, I'm going to go ahead and leave it as the default, but these are the other options that you could use. And then the last choice is release grade notification email options. And definitely we'll go ahead and use the default not to send out email to the students when the grade is released. It would just that would be a lot of emails and so on, but it is your choice if you want to, as a communication tool, send a notification out to each of the students. So the other part is add attachments. So if you want your student to submit the assignment using an attachment, so what you would do is you would click on add attachments, and then scroll to wherever the assignment that you are asking them to complete. So I'll go ahead and put assignment 5, click on open, and so then it populates here. If you happen to pick the wrong assignment, or if you have a need to remove it, there's a link there. But that looks okay, and you could either add another file if that is appropriate, or a website link, you can add it there. But this is what we're looking for. We'll go ahead and click on continue. And so there's our inline instructions, and then here at the bottom is our attachment. And here they have the last things we'll just go over is supplemental items. And so this one here is a model answer. So if you wanted to utilize that just to provide a solution to the assignment or what you're looking for, you could utilize that area. So go ahead and cancel that. And the same thing applies to these two options. So at this point, we completed all of the things that are required or some of the options that we want to have for assignment. And then the last thing is you have the option of saving it as a draft in case there's future things that you want to add. But at this point, it looks good, and we're going to go ahead and post it. So I'll go ahead and click that. And so now you can see it comes back to this view here, and here's the assignment with the different due dates, the open date and the due date. So that is completes assignment agenda number 1, and it actually completes agenda number 2, which is the inline submissions and attachments. So now what I can do is view and submit as a student. And what that is that if you you don't always have to use this, but this is a tool that you could use if you're not familiar with the CoreSite and setting up assignments. And this way, when you generate these assignments, you can see what the students will be looking at. And in case they have questions, and you would be able to reply and tell them how to get through it. So go back to the assignment bar here and click on this link here that says Student View. And then you'll notice here under our new assignment, you could there's a link that says Submit as Student. So we'll go ahead and click on that. And so this is the view that the student would see. And so here are the instructions and the points and so on, and then the attachment. And so the student will then go ahead and submit it. So you'll just put acting as a student. Okay, so that would be considered an inline submission for part of the student. And then, so for an attachment, you have asked them to submit it through an attachment, so you can go ahead and click on Browse. And then we'll go ahead and put, this is the student's version here, and so I'll go ahead and click on that. And then here it has the honor pledge that we had checked when we set up the assignment. So this is the statement. Then in order for them to submit it, they have to click on this box. So I'll go ahead and do that. And even though I have my attachment here, it doesn't show up here. So what I'm going to suggest is that, if this is the student saying that, just take a little preview of it so that we can see as a student point of view, just to make sure that everything that they want to submit is there. And so this is the inline part of it. And then here's indeed the attachment did work. So as a student, this looks good to me, and I'm going to go ahead and submit it. But they have the same option if they want to save it or edit it at that point. But we'll go ahead and submit it. So click on Submit. The student will receive an email notification just so that they have, like the submission ID and so on. And then I'll go ahead and click back to the list. And so then that is completes the view and submit as a student agenda item. So next on the agenda is under the grading. And so now what we're going to do is that the student submitted an assignment, and we're ready to take a look at it as instructor and grade it. And so I'm going to go back to assignment list. And here what I'll do is that I'm going to go ahead and use assignment 2 to grade some submissions. And so what I'll go ahead and do is I'll select this last one here. There it's ungraded, and so I'll go click on grade. And so what you'll see is that here is what the student submitted, and they have an attachment. So looking at that, we looked at the attachment, and so here is the instructor summary comment. So I'll go ahead and provide my inline feedback, and so I'll say hello student, and then great job. And so there's my inline feedback. And then if I have something that I wanted to attach, maybe a rubric that I've used in order to grade, I'll go ahead and click on attachments. And then again, I'll browse to my local computer, and I'll just put instructor feedback here. I'll click on open. And the same type of thing happens here. It shows up here, and if that wasn't what you needed, then you click remove. But that is the feedback I want to provide. I'll click on continue. And then what you'll do is you'll see it here. So now I want to add the grade, and this particular assignment had a maximum of 100, so I'm going to say they got a 95. And here, if you didn't have its resubmissions, if you feel like maybe they didn't have a great grade, then you want them to have the opportunity to resubmit, you could go ahead and check that. But what I'm going to do is that these last few options, we're going to use save and don't release to student as a best practice, because what happens is if you save and release to the student, then each individual student will have their grades released. And if you're grading maybe over a couple of days and so on, you want to be able to have the ability to just release the grades all at once. So, and then that's how we're going to move on to the next agenda item. And so as a best practice, we suggest that you use save and don't release to the student. So I'll go ahead and click on that. And then it tells you your comments or grades have been saved. So now I'm going to go ahead and return to the list. And then it shows up that the grade was the 95. So that completes, agenda item 3, A and B. And so I'm going to turn it back to Mike. He's going to go ahead and demo how to download for the grading offline and also for transferring to Gradebook. So Mike?
Okay. So Deborah, can you go ahead and stop sharing your screen so I'll share mine screen.
Okay.
So if you, okay.
All right.
All right, let me go ahead and now share my screen. Okay, so hopefully you should be able to see my version, my instance of crops. I am looking at the my assignment list, and here's the example. So in this particular part of the workshop, I'm going to show you how to grade offline. You can do the online grading that Deborah showed you, but the limitation there is that you sort of grade one at a time, and also you need an internet connection to crops in order to do that. But if, let's say, you want to sort of download all the assignments all at once and be able to grade it offline somewhere where you don't have internet connection, that's what I'm going to show you how to do. So the way you go about doing that is, first you go to the assignment. So I'm going to look at assignment 4, which has 3 submissions. So I'm going to go ahead and click on grade, and on the top right you should see the download all option, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. So there, as you can see, there are 1, 2, and 3 submitted assignments that are not graded, and so I'm going to download all, and then here's where I'm going to check the options, and essentially the easiest is to check all so that it'll download everything, and it'll ask you where do you want this to be placed. And now I'm going to save this on my desktop. And actually, let me see if it will show in the folder here. Nope. You know what? I need to, sorry, I need to change this because I should have shared my desktop as opposed to sharing just that browser. Let me go ahead and switch over to sharing my desktop, and then that way you can see what I do with the file offline. All right, so now you should be able to see, this is what happens when you download the file. It's going to be entitled bulk download. And what you need to do first is extract it. And I use this program called 7-Zip, which you can find online for free, and just install that. And I'm going to extract this onto the same folder. And so once it's extracted, you see it's right there. What I try to do is then delete the original zip file just so it won't be confusing down the line. So here's the bulk download, I'm going to click on that, and you can see assignment 4 is there. And if I go into one more level, then you see the different assignments. So if you remember from the original, let me see if I can show you a little bit there. There were 3 assignments submitted, one by Deborah, one by my test account, and then one by Deborah's other test account. So what I'm going to do is just go to the first one, which is Deborah, and then you'll see the way the structure of each student's folder works is that you have the feedback attachment and then also the submission attachment folder. The submission attachment folder is where typically the assignment would be in, and then the feedback is where you would return the assignment. So let me see if I can find one that has the actual attachment in it. There it is. So this is the attachment that was submitted by me in my test account. And so what I would do is I would essentially open this in my Word, and I will do my grading on it, and then I'll just put some sort of comment. And then the way I would typically do this is I would save this file as, and I would change this the name just by saying something like graded. And that way it distinguishes the original file that was submitted from the file that I'm going to return. And the way you also save this file is you're going to be saving it into the feedback folder as opposed to the submission folder. So you remember those 2 folders right there. So we're going to save it back in the feedback folder, and that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And then it is now saved to there. And so you can double check to see if it's actually there by going to the feedback folder, and there you see it. It's graded. And so you essentially repeat this process for all the students that have submitted some sort of assignment. And here on the part of the larger file, you see there's a grade, Excel grade file. And you can have this open while you're grading so that when you're doing the actual grading, you can have another grade sheet next to it and be able to see between the two. So I'm just going to give myself, I can't remember, it was like 50 points or something for that assignment. And I think it's 50 points. Well, regardless, I'm going to give myself 50 points, and I'm going to save this file. And it will then essentially, I'm going to accept all that. So there it is. So once everything is saved back to the original file, you go up to the sort of the parent level, and here is where you're going to zip it up. And we're essentially doing the exact opposite of what we did originally. When we downloaded, we unzipped it, and then we looked in the folder, and then we graded it, and now we are done grading it. We're going to zip it back up, and then we're going to upload it all. So here's my assignment 4 graded zip file, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my crops, and then I'm going to go to upload all, and it's going to ask you to look for that file. So here I'm going to go back to my downloaded, and actually was that my downloaded, or was there it is. There's my zip file. I'm going to click open, and I'm going to just do all, just for the easy. Again, you have the option to release the grade, or you withhold it. And I usually withhold it, like what Deborah said earlier, and just wait until I'm sure before I release the grade. So I'm going to click on upload, and what this will do is automatically upload all the assignments I just graded all in one batch, and you can see that the grade I gave for 50 points for myself is there. And if you click on the grade, you can actually see my attached feedback right there, assignment 4 graded version on there as well. And you can again double check the grade, and then again, before you release it all, you just want to double check that everything's in place. And when you're when you're sure that everything is in place, then you can go ahead and release all. I'm going to go ahead and do that, release grade, and you'll see a little check mark under that column, and that will indicate that it has been released. And you can also, one other thing that you can do is you can go to the grade book to see how whether or not it actually went through, and you see that there is a grade that was released, and it's 50 points, so you can see right there. So that's how you would be able to do the grading offline without having an internet connection, and when you're when you're ready, you can upload it all in one batch. So I think that's it for me. Deborah, do you have anything else to add?
Well, actually, no, not for that particular one, but you were also going to show how to transfer directly to the gradebook, and then that would be our last agenda item.
Okay, sorry. So let me see here. So I transferred the. Wait, remind me again, Deborah. What was it what aspect of that am I supposed to show?
Under assignments, then there's transferring to gradebook.
For that particular assignment, you mean?
Right. However you want, if you didn't do it this downloading one and you were.
So you're talking about this option right here. Let's see, really. This grading?
Where it says.
Right here, grading?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the options you have is you can link your assignment directly to the gradebook so that as you're grading, it will automatically populate in the gradebook. But for example, if you didn't do that in the beginning, you let's say you didn't want to associate in the beginning because you weren't ready to link it to a gradebook, and you want to do it later on, you can always go back. So let me go ahead and maybe see if I can pick another assignment. I wonder if you see, here's one. So I'm going to go back to this assignment 2. And well, essentially all the grading, all the assignments are linked to the grading at this point. So I would have to create a new one to show you. But the idea essentially is that you can choose the option to associate with existing gradebook, and then it will allow you to connect to an assignment that's already in the gradebook. And if it isn't there already, you can go to the gradebook and create an assignment for you to link with. So here are all the assignments that we created that are unassigned. But as you create new assignments and link them to a particular item here, it will automatically populate. So we will have a session later on the gradebook functionality. So apologies for not going too much in depth with that. So let me go back to our slides here. So at this point, I don't know if there's anybody that has any questions, but if you do, you can put it in the chat window. I think one question I hear a lot and often is that how do you do the I can't remember the exact question, but the idea is how do you do the grading without the internet? And I think what I just showed you is the best way to do it. And oftentimes people actually prefer the offline grading versus the grading online because it just gives you a greater flexibility in terms of when you do it, and you don't have to rely on the internet, and you can essentially take the grading with you without having to be tied down. So that's just something I hear a lot in the past. But since we don't really have any questions, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. We have future UC MCROPS webinars that are coming up, so we hope you can join us for those. The next one will be Monday, February 27th, and that's going to be covering the assessment tools. And then we have one more, as I mentioned earlier, on the gradebook, and that will be on April 2nd. And these are half-an-hour webinars, and again, they're recorded. And if you miss any, if you can't join us live, you can always watch it over the internet, and you can find that on our CRT website. And if you have any more questions or if you need more resources, you can find that on our website under crte.ucmerced.edu/UCM Crops, or you can go directly to the UCM Crops help link, which will allow you to see sort of essentially a documentation of all the different tools and how they function. And of course, we are available for personal consultation. So if you need a personal consultation on using particular features of crops, you can contact us. Here are our emails. You can just email us, and we'll be happy to meet with you and talk about helping you with crops. And I think that's about it. I'm going to go ahead and end this session. And one thing that we asked you to do is complete the assessment for this webinar, and what that will it will get pushed out to you the moment we end the session. You will get the assessment page pushed to you. So please go ahead and complete that, and we would appreciate your feedback on that as well. So thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time. All right, bye-bye.